we have one more object to create, and that is the collision model. And basically what the collision model is a low resolution version just enough resolution to wrap around that tree. There are two types of collision. There is the hard surface collision, and then there is the soft collision. The hard collision is just that. It is a surface by which your vehicle or you are stopped immediately if you hit it. Hide this. And the soft actually plays a little bit of an animation. Soft collision is for bushes or things that typically could be moved if you bump into them, and they will play a sound effect as well, but they also play a little animation of the tree or the bush rustling, and you're able to pass through that a little bit better with less resistance. Alright, so the collision model is very simple. What I do to get a jump start on that is I take a lower, not the lowest, because as you can recall we just did a triangle basically for the first LOD, but I usually take the next LOD up and go ahead and holding the shift key down and the left mouse button, I just create myself a duplicate of the less resolution trunk, and we're going to need to center that object. Go ahead and do this again. Okay, now we can spare our pivot point. So go ahead and line that up. I'm going to make it just a little bit larger than the tree trunk. You want to hold it as close as possible to that area because you don't want to get a sound effect before you actually bump into it. So that actually encompasses that fairly well. And then what we will want to do is just create a very simple object that will encompass the leaves. That'll be a separate object since it will be a soft collision area. And I'm just going to do that by starting with a probably a cylinder would be fine. Go to the top view. Put that in there. Okay, now let's go to the modify panel, and I'm going to take most of those sides down. Don't need all the sides. Let's take it down to 5 perhaps. Maybe that's too few. Nope, that'll be fine. And we don't need all of those height segments. Just stick with 1. And the cap segments are fine. So, very quickly, since I'm running out of space, actually I'll put 2 cap segments in there, and I'm going to convert that to editable polys. And then I will just iterate on that until I get what I need. As you can see, I'm just moving polys or vertices in order to get what I want, and that'll have to come back down in there. As you can see, I have been working on the collision model, and I have it looks very lumpy and strange, but it does encompass all of the leaves now for that tree. So there are just a couple of other things that I wanted to tell you about collision models. First of all, when you do complete the collision models, they need to have their pivot point in exactly the same place as the parent model. So the parent model is pivot point is at location 0, 0, 0 in the world, and so we are going to go to the hierarchy tab and click on Effect Pivot Only, and that will allow us to change the location of the pivot without disrupting the model's location. And I'm just going to go down here to the bottom of the screen, double click and type in 0, 0, 0, and that will put our pivot point in the exact location that it needs to be. So click off of that, and now the next thing that you need to make sure that your collision model is reflecting the same parent name. So the parent name of our model is Tree Palm LOD1. It needs to have that name to start with, and then you can label it soft coal, hard coal. And that's necessary usually for your game engine to find the correct collision model and apply that to the correct pivot point. So now that we have that accomplished, the soft collision and the hard collision is named appropriately. All of the pivot points are in the correct place, and that can be exported and used in the game engine. And that completes our tutorial for collision model. Additionally, what happens after you create them is there's usually a proprietary software for your team which allows you to apply a material specific to that object, and it will be set up to reflect the sound effect associated with the material, and also allow you to apply a material so that you can export that into the game engine. Right? So that concludes our series for LOD construction for game ecosystem. You have 4 LODs, 2 for beyond the reset zone, 2 for within the reset zone, and collision model also associated with those, and the first LOD also having a normal map.